Okay, we are live. Just checking the camera. We've got BB Black Dog in the background. We've got a page up. I'm ready to go. Right, okay. What I was working on today is Stormchasers 8. And I did these 2 panels earlier. Also did page 26 and finished off page 25. Have a quick look at 26. I've got a couple of amendments to make on 26. I'd quite like to pick her knee out. It's a little loud. I'd quite like to pick her knee out. And some fur on his chest there, I think. But other than that, that came out quite nicely. So I thought what I'd do is this middle panel tonight. I thought I'd pick something out that I could do just for this. Get some using this Lazy Nizumi. It's a really good plugin. It's set up for Photoshop, but now that I've moved to Clip Studio, I use it in here as well, and it's excellent. So for those of you who haven't come and joined me yet, hello, welcome. Thank you very much for coming and watching the channel. And for those of you that are repeat offenders, hello, lovely to see you again. And of course, thank you so much for joining me. I put on the music in the background, which once again, I'll make the statement for anybody listening at YouTube. These guys are my mates, so it's okay. They said it was all right. But I put their music on in the background because I'm a bit crap at narrating what I'm doing. I'm old and I can only do so many things at once. So while I'm inking, and even more so when I move on and I do more live streams with Only Death Can Save Us, when I'm penciling, you're not going to hear me say an awful lot. But I'll try and talk my way through what I'm doing. So you can see, here's the pencils. I've got a couple of layers of inks going on. So I'll just get cracking. It's been an absolutely smashing day weather-wise today. I think it's supposed to start getting cooler, but I live in the east of England, and the southeast of England is supposed to be the driest area in England. So we don't get a huge amount of rainfall compared to everybody else. But yeah, the weather has been superb. That last track, the BB Black Dog, the first one that I had on, that's my favourite track of theirs. Absolutely love it. So this is Mr. Freedom. He's been freed by his ex-wife. There's something Freudian in that, I'm sure. And he's battling with, I think his name's Dr. Zero. Can't remember exactly. I'm really crap at names. I can never remember things. Should really be checking the script. If you bear with me for a second, and I'll just open the script. You probably can't see this, can you? Because I'm only sharing the Clip Studio. So stop. Stormchasers 8 final script. Okay. We're at page 26, 27. And yeah, it's Dr. Zero. I was right. My mind wasn't playing tricks on me. Dr. Zero. And he's got he's got no body and nobody loves me. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Old joke. He's got no corporeal form, and he's just like this sort of mass of the clothes that he was a research scientist and kind of researching black holes and quantum physics and that kind of stuff. And he had a terrible accident in typical Marvel fashion, the good old way of doing things, and he became Dr. Zero, and the suit that he was wearing became part of him, and you can see it better in the previous page. It's all just sort of swooping around him, and he was using Miss Freedom's and Mr. Freedom's daughter. I think it's a daughter. Anyway, it's their baby. To get his corporeal form back because of the powers that the child had. But of course, the child would have died in the process. So Mr. Freedom's not very happy. And so in this story, we see some of his form come back into his arms. Just a little bit earlier on in the script, earlier on in the book. He's in this machine all set up and sucking the life, presumably, and the powers out of their daughter, the baby, and you start to see his arms and legs. They form more there. I used a bit of Kirby crackle on that. But now all you can see is his arms slightly, and they're sort of very translucent. But there's enough there for me to put in a couple of lines. What's going on with BB Black Dog? All right. Hi, Ronnie. Thanks very much for coming. Thanks, man. Something that I've been doing. Sorry, for those of you on replay, I was just saying hi to Ronnie, who'd just come in, who I just noticed in the chat. He's been very kind to me. Something that I've been doing is using a thicker brush and lightening my touch, so I get a much bigger variant of line in what I'm doing, and that helps. It's it's textured my work a lot more. It's not as scratchy, and it's helped me find the style that I was always looking for. So it was a happy accident. Decided to give it a go because of the software I was using, and also looking for ways to speed up my work as well. And it's worked out really well, actually. I can't always use a thick brush. Sometimes, when you've got certain bits and pieces like faces, I tend to move in a little bit closer for faces. Not so I can put more detail on, but just so that I get it right. That's all really. So the shadow's coming from behind him. So the light source is in front, so the shadow's pinging backwards, but the room is pretty well lit, so there's not a huge amount of shadow going on there. I'll let the color work do the job on that. Let's see, this is where his clothes are all messed up and all ripped and still part of him from the explosion that created him. I've done quite a few Unstoppable books actually for Jay. Thoroughly enjoyed them, and I have to thank him for putting his trust in my work when before I got any pro gigs. I was doing a lot of work with Jay, and he helped me make my mark on the books, but also trusted me, and of course, I've grown a lot as an artist and storyteller since he first took me on, and he's been comfortable with me learning and pushing myself further, and changing my style a little bit. I mean, that's going to be something that's noticeable when all the Stormchasers books go into a trade paperback, which undoubtedly they will. My work is all over the place in there because I started on issue 5, and then I did 6 and 7, and he wanted to do a redux, and I did issue 1 as a redux, and then he got someone else to do 2. He kept 3 as it was, the original book. Or did he keep 4? No, he got somebody else to do 2, and then I did 3 recently, actually. So it's not a direct chronological mapping of my style and my improvement over the years, because the first one I did was 5, and the most recent one I'll have done would have been 3, and then now I'm doing 8. So anybody looking at it might be a little bit confused when they do finally see it, but hopefully they'll enjoy it. But I looked at some of my old work from there the other day, and it's not terrible. I mean, I know every artist cringes at their old work, and I'm probably quite bad at that. I'm not very good with accepting my old work, but yeah, it's not too bad. Look at one of the things I love most about the physicality of producing digital inking rather than doing it with a brush or pen is the whiteout aspect. And I still enjoy very much so drawing with a pen and a pencil on real paper in the real world. Speed and production keep me doing it digitally. Although, as I've said, I will do some original artwork for Only Death Can Save Us. But the thing that I really, really love about the digital stuff is the whiteout, because I've always found whiteout to be awkward in one way or another. I can never quite get the line I want or whatever. And then, of course, often whiteout is you're laying it down over something that you've inked already, and you're planning it out, and then you think you're nervous of putting the whiteout over the top of it because it already looks good, but you've got to do it because the whiteout is a detail that you want on there. But being able to do it just with a brush stroke, just changing up the color from black to white and then doing your thing, it's excellent. Love it. Okay, so there's some stragglers in there. There's Dr. Zero done. over a little bit. See if there's anyone else in here. Oh, hi, Captain. How you doing? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've been using the G Pen, really. I played with some brushes in Photoshop. I think there were VHX or VX. I think it was something like that. But sorry, I can't remember the exact name of them. But I did play with some different brushes. They were angled and had all kinds of stuff on them. But because I decided to go for a thicker brush, I was looking for what Clip Studio had available, and I played with a few brushes. If I wanted to do something a little dirtier, I might use the some of the brushes in here. But I just found that the G Pen, and I was using the real G Pen for a little while as well, because that gave it a slightly rougher feel. But the G Pen, it's just doing what I want. It's hitting exactly what I want. So it's an accident, really. I can't claim to have known what I was doing. And Mr. Vic, thank you for joining me. And yeah, I'm a big Buscema fan. Cheers, Ronnie. Yeah, it's always the way. You always look at your old stuff and you don't like it. But such is life. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So I tend not to let it go past 70%, because otherwise you start drawing with too small a line, and it gets too detailed, and that's not what you're after. But what I do is I come in, I'll turn the massive line correction off, and I'll just go in for the bits that I want. Like I said, this is effectively like leaning in really close when you're using a real pen or real pencil and paper. So I don't want to go in too closely, like I say, because you end up doing you end up doing too thin a line. It's too detailed. It's too much. These are my own pencils, so they're not because I know I'm going to do the inks to them. They tend not to be hugely detailed or shaded. I put a little bit of shading in sometimes when I want to give myself a cue for something. But if I'm doing the inking, I tend not to overdo the pencils. Pretty much on the major gigs. So like on Doctor Who, I did exactly the same thing. I started off because I had to pass all the pages past the BBC. They obviously had to see the pencils quite detailed, even though I was doing the inks myself. I had to give them pretty detailed pencils. But once they got used to what I was doing, they got used to my style. They started chilling out about all that, and I could end up giving them more pencils that were more like this. Okay. Right. glove would come in front there. You see how I quieten up when I'm concentrating. It's the whole brain not being able to do everything at once. Don't like that. Is that working? So the other thing you've got to be focused on is not getting too lost in what you're doing when you zoom in. You try and I have a habit of doing, and it is very dangerous. It's easy to do. It's something I'm trying to do, even though I've used the smooth G pen, and I use the smoothing in Lazy Nizumi. Something I've been trying to do is loosen up my strokes, and just so that you can keep that energy in the work, which is really difficult to do. And it was David Lloyd was talking about producing covers, and said, you know, that first cover you do, that first image you do, pretty much for anything, not just covers, but for anything, that first image you do, it's always got a huge amount of energy in it. And you're always thinking, oh wow, this is going to be fabulous, and then you put your pencils on it, and then you put some inks on it, and if you're too anal about the inks, then it loses even more energy, and then you lose it completely. So it's trying to keep that energy in your work, even though you're obviously trying to make it look as good as possible. Take it off when I'm filling in as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that. Do the rest of it first. Better. So he's got like a star coming over his shoulder there on his costume. So you have to make sure that fits in. Mm-hmm. Don't like that tune. That works better. Okay, on that one either. Come on, baby. Better music on than that. Oh, oh. Okay. I've got coffee here. go. This is all still on the lighter part of his costume, so we want a shade in there rather than anything harsh. But it's all going to fade out anyway because of the straight lines I'll be putting in there. Okay. Now all that side of his costume is dark, so there's some darker shading on there. A few texture lines. Okay, just get his hair in now. So light's there, so light is here. Okay, and a couple of little kiss curls coming out of there as well. Now I need to zoom in a little bit just to get that right. Take that off. Okay, see just a little bit of his forehead peeking over the mask. Squeeze down to a 7. Shore up those lines. There we go. That's enough. Fill in a bit. Whenever you zoom in, you always find there's a few bits of fill you haven't done. You don't want to be too anal about it. This is my personal opinion anyway. You don't want to be too anal about it because sometimes it can add texture to what you're doing. Right, okay. That's good. And now just put in the strike lines. This is another fabulous tool, the radial lines. Oops. Okay. Where did I put them? Yeah. Something else on. Okay, right. So just put those lines in. You see, I'm not following them exactly. I just flicked them in when I was doing the pencils. Like a secondary flash here to break them up rather than having the strike lines from the central flash all the way out. Gives it a little bit more interest. And also the way the lines are put in as well. You don't want them just to be straight lines. You want to feather them off a little bit. So, actually, Captain, another aspect of the choice of pen using this lazy Nizumi actually does give the strike a thickness and a you know, like it thins it out at the far end of the strike. So you've got some graduation to the thickness of the line, which adds something to it. And then what I'll do is zoom in on that bit, because that's where that shading is. There. It kind of works. I might put just a little bit of Kirby crackling because I've been doing a bit of it for these powers. So there, that works. And then just a little bit of highlight across his costume, I think. Add in. There. Okay. So that's that panel done. Turn that off. Good coffee. Let's see what's going on. Oh, Bad Ham. How you doing? Mighty Geek. Lovely to see you here. It must be really boring watching me reading the chat. So what I'm going to do, I got that done a bit quicker than I thought. So what I'll quickly do is this guy down the bottom here, because he's hairy. Mrs. Freedom is that's quite a nice shot. It's got quite a nice bottom. Let's do this. I'll do this and call it a night. So we're going here, right? Again, I'll zoom in just a little bit because it's on a face. Thicken that pen up because it's the foreground, so it's going to have those thicker lines. It's got a wee short little nose, sort of like Beast or the Hulk or whatever. That up just a little bit. Okay. And then once again, we're getting into some hair. So, as I said earlier, I don't really, if I'm inking it myself, I tend to leave it quite simple. The pencils, just line work, and then just fill in with the inks. I think a lot of people do that nowadays. I've seen lots of different ways of penciling. Actually, some people do very loose pencils, and they do it all in ink. And then other people will be like, I was quite anal about my pencils for the longest time, actually, especially with other people inking them. It's like I'd want them to do exactly what I did, you know. And that's not the idea of inking. The idea of inking is well, obviously the idea of inking is based in traditional print. That's why you ink. But the whole aspect of laying down pencils and then having someone follow them to the letter is a bit. It's kind of taking the creativity out of it, really, for the inker. You want the inker to bring their skills. This is the way I feel about it. You want the inker to bring their skills to a penciled piece. So if your penciled piece is just too good, it's just perfect, and then it's difficult for the inker to do anything but just follow your lines. Whereas if you do something a bit more sketchy, a bit more open-ended, basically like they used to pencil back in the day, back in the Bronze Age, they'd lay down either roughs or, some people just used to get layouts, really good, inkers back then. There's a guy I'm friends with on Facebook, Bob McLeod, and oh wow, the inks that he did. I mean, he's a fantastic penciler on his own, but the inks that he did over other people's pencils were just amazing. And sometimes he'd get like just the most basic of sketches almost, and he'd managed to produce a fabulous page. Right, that's all going to be, yeah. So he's got like these side bristles. I think he's supposed to be a Sasquatch or something. Bigfoot. So I'm going to get some sheen over his hair, I think. Just there. Obviously, eats good food. Keeps his coat nice and shiny. He's got a bit of a beard as well. Make sure I get the beard in. Get some of the foot there. There you go. Sorry, I'm concentrating, so you're getting silence again. I think I might wipe that out, actually. So he's got like the breastbones over here that just sneaking through his fur, but then we go back to it's stylized, but it's effectively like the fur being white on his chest and abdomen, but it's it becomes a technique, like a conceit, just to show that aspect of his anatomy. Because just one big black furry mass of hair wouldn't be very interesting to draw. But that's good. I'm good with that. He's got, just because we're looking slightly down, you can't really see his lips, but there's just a hint. He's got like a black lip there. Okay. Right, let's fill that in. Bucket tool is excellent in Clip Studio. I find it's just quite annoying in Photoshop. Okay, there, and just thin it out, and maybe a couple of extra lines to define his shoulder muscles, and that going in over the breastbone, maybe picking out a few more of his hairs because he's a bit wild. It's good. Right, cool, good with that. So that's that center panel, and the first part of that panel there. Okay, turn that off. It's the only thing as well is that the lazy Nezumi tools seem to affect the scroll bars and stuff, and the panels that you outside of the main window, which is a bit annoying, but I'll put up with that for everything else that Clip Studio gives me, which is wonderful. Right, okay, so that's that. My pencils tend to be where we got. So it does flashes and bursts by hand instead of using pre-made template. Oh, bad ham. I could never use a template. I would feel terrible if I did that kind of stuff. The good is that one. Yeah, but my pencils tend to be quite loose, sometimes to the point where only I know where the pencils are supposed to be. But I used to get stuck on it happens that way. Most of the time, I don't do finished pencils, mostly to rub. Yeah. That's pretty much the way I work now. But like I say, I will be doing some more finished pencils for Only Death Can Save Us. So that's it for me. I'm done. That's 45 minutes of live streaming at 9 o'clock at night. For everyone who was in the chat, Mighty Geek, Ronnie, the Captain, Mr. Vic, Bad Ham, Oh, did I miss anybody? No, that was it, I think. Thank you very much for joining me. That was absolutely stupendous that people came to watch me ink. Thank you. For those who are watching on the replay, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments, and I'll be back again with some more live streaming, probably Thursday or Sunday, something like that. I should have finished Stormchasers by then, so I should be going on to Only Death Can Save Us. You can find out more about that book at onlydeathcansaveus.com. You can find out more about Unstoppable Comics at the Unstoppable Comics website. It's unstoppablecomics.com. And they're on Twitter as well. Look up JD Rosario. He does some great books, and I'm sure that I will be on more of his books in the future. If you're watching this, Jay, I hope you're safe at home. I know it's a bit bonkers out there at the moment, so be safe. Like I say, anybody's watching on the replay, thanks very much for watching. If you're not subscribed, why not consider subscribing? If you are subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing, along with everybody in the chat who's come to watch. It means a lot that people come and listen and watch the things that I do and take an interest. So you can find me at russleach.com, at comicbookblackbelt.com, at onlydeathcansaveus.com. I have an email subscription list there where you can keep up with what's going on with the book. And I'm obviously on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and all of the links are in the description to this video. So everybody in the room and everybody who's been watching on the replay, thank you very much. And I'll see you again for another video real soon. Bye-bye.